The worst wildfires in the country's history have left dozens of people dead, while efforts continue to battle the flames. U.S. President Donald Trump has made it official to impose 25% tariffs on cars made outside of the U.S. Focus is on its potential impact on South Korea, with the U.S. being a major market for Korean car exports. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatens to seize territory in Gaza over the release of hostages. In Gaza, hundreds of Palestinians were out on the streets to protest against Hamas, calling for the end of the war. It's March 27th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We begin with the latest on the worst wildfires in the southern regions of the country. For more on the situation on the ground, our reporter Song Yoo-jin joins us now. Yoo-jin, tell us where you are and what's the latest from there.
Well, Jong-min, I've been here in Yeongyang-gun County in Gyeongsang-buk-do province in the southern part of the country for several hours now, and this area is one of the hardest hit regions by the multiple wildfires that is raging across the country. And we chose a specific spot for our newscast this time because we really think that this area shows a clear snapshot of the devastating wildfires. So what you're currently seeing behind me used to be a building, a house, but due to the fire that tore through this specific village in Yeongyang-gun County starting 2 days ago, this is what's left of it right now. So to give you more background information about this fire, this particular fire in the Gyeongsang-buk-do province region started with a fire in the nearby Uiseong-gun County, but it then fastly spread to other regions nearby, including Yeongyang-gun County, where I am right now. So this province, Gyeongsang-buk-do, has the highest death toll with 23 lives lost, making it the deadliest of the multiple wildfires that are currently burning across the country as we speak. According to the latest data from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, the nationwide death toll stands at 27 and 32 others injured, which is up 1 death and 2 injuries from the morning, which all came from Gyeongsang-buk-do province. And with this, South Korea is now seeing the highest number of wildfire-related deaths in a single year since records began. I want to mention that the previous high was 26 deaths back in 1989, and also in terms of scale, the devastation is also historic, because so far, wildfires nationwide have scorched up to 360 square kilometers, which is more than half of the size of Seoul. And earlier, I spoke with some residents about the impact they felt about this fire. Take a listen.
I could see the fire up on the mountains 3 days ago. The flames came here suddenly because the winds have been strong. Today, it's less windy, but when it is windy, it feels like the apocalypse.
It felt like helicopters were dropping fireballs because I could see fires here and then there, so I escaped in my car. I'm 72 and I've been living here since I was 8. I've never seen a fire like this in my lifetime.
And Yoo-jin, what are you learning about efforts to contain the flames? We hear conditions haven't made that easy.
You're right, Jong-min. So I can first of all say that it's been nonstop for thousands of firefighters and rescue personnel to really keep these fires under control. However, it's definitely been an uphill battle because the weather conditions here have been really dry and windy today as well, which is the worst weather condition to keep a fire under control. But there's some good news as well because latest data from the Korea Forest Service shows that the average containment rate of the fires in the 5 regions of Gyeongsang-buk-do province that you previously seen that I mentioned earlier, the containment rate has now risen to 63%, which is almost 20% up from our previous newscast. And to really speed up recovery efforts, a few hours ago, Acting President and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo newly designated Gyeongsang-do province's Andong City, Cheongsong, Yeongdeok, and Yeongyang-gun counties as special disaster zones, allowing for a coordinated pan-ministerial response focused on supporting victims and accelerating recovery efforts. And there have been hope that the rain today might help, but so far the rainfall has been light and sporadic across the country, and there's also very little rain and windy conditions in the forecast tomorrow as well. So at this point, I can just say that officials and residents are hoping the weather will shift in their favor soon. And for night, to increase the containment rate, the government will deploy around 3,700 firefighting personnel. So we hope that the fires will be put off very soon. That's all I have for now at this hour. Back to you, Tomin.
All right, thank you, Eugene. Hope you and your team there stay safe. And the devastating wildfires are putting the nation's cultural assets at risk too, having destroyed an ancient temple dating back over 1,300 years. Lee Seung-jae takes a look.
The wildfires raging in Sangcheon-gun and Hadong-gun counties have now spread to the Jirisan National Park. Jirisan National Park is considered a sacred mountain to the people of Korea and was the first national park in the country. Forestry officials have made every effort to prevent the further spreading of the wildfire at the national park by spraying fire retardants and mobilizing helicopters. Residents and livestock are being evacuated from the area, and major cultural heritage items, including national treasures, are also being moved to safety. By Wednesday, the Korea Heritage Service said it had moved 15 historic pieces to safety from areas affected by wildfires. Among them are 10 national treasures, including a seated stone Buddha statue from the now-destroyed Gounsa Temple in Iseong. 15 national heritage items have been destroyed by wildfires, including 11 designated as national heritage and 4 as provincial heritage. While items can be moved to safety more freely, sites such as temples are impossible to move. This has led to historically important temples like Gounsa Temple being damaged.
This temple is an important and historic temple where many masters and believers have been practicing and receiving comfort for over 1,300 years. It is a place of comfort for many people, but I am very afraid that it may disappear.
The Korea Heritage Service on Tuesday issued the highest national heritage disaster alert level. In the 4-tier alert system, the KHS issued the serious level for the first time ever. The KHS explained that the highest alert level was issued due to the very high risk of damage to the national heritage items and sites due to the rapidly spreading wildfires. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
On top of Trump's new tariffs that are set to take effect a week later, the American leader has made it official to impose 25% tariffs on car imports to the U.S. We delve into its potential impact on businesses here in Korea. Our correspondent Lee Soo-jin is here in the studio. Soo-jin, overall, what can we expect the tariffs to look like for Korea?
So not all the key details have been revealed as of now, but it's growing more likely that South Korea will be significantly impacted by the tariffs. And as you just mentioned, U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Wednesday local time that he would impose 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars and auto parts, set to take effect on April 2nd, with the U.S. beginning to collect the duties the following day. The tariff plan will significantly impact South Korea as automobiles are the country's top export item to the U.S., amounting to $34 billion last year and accounting for more than 49% of the total automobile exports. Here's how the tariffs will impact Korea's auto industry, according to an expert I spoke to today.
This auto tariff will have a major impact on South Korea, as automobiles are a key export. But since it applies to all imported cars, other global automakers will also be affected. The bigger concern is the reciprocal tariffs set for early April, potentially adding further costs for South Korean automakers.
Reciprocal tariffs are set to be announced on April 2nd, when the Trump administration is expected to assign each country a reciprocal tariff number that corresponds to tariffs and other trade barriers on U.S. products. Just last week, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent cited 15 nations, which he called the Dirty 15, for imposing high tariffs on the U.S. While he did not clarify which nations, Trump has previously signaled out South Korea for its trade surplus with the U.S. Let's take a listen to what an expert stated was the reason behind South Korea's rise in export share to the U.S.
Since the pandemic, the United States was virtually the only major country which had very strong demand. So the exports to U.S. rose, especially for manufactured durable goods. Korea was not one of the top 10 countries which had trade surplus with the United States, but now it's ranked 8th. So that kind of change will put Korea into Trump's target range.
What is being done on the corporate front as to U.S. tariffs?
Right, so the private sector has been working tirelessly to protect South Korea's trade interests. On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he may, quote, give a lot of countries breaks on the reciprocal tariffs. This comes as Trump met with Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chairman Chung Lee-sun at the White House on Monday. There, Chung announced that South Korea's largest automaker will be investing $21 billion in the United States through 2028. And the investment will give Hyundai Motor Group a pass from Trump's tariff policies. Let's take a listen.
Hyundai will be producing steel in America and making its cars in America. And as a result, they'll not have to pay any tariffs. You know, there are no tariffs if you make your product in America.
This has raised speculation about further U.S. investment by major chip firms like Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. POSCO announced that it's considering investing in the U.S. upstream process, the initial stage of steel production. And according to an expert, here's how these investments may influence Trump's tariff decisions.
With reciprocal tariffs varying by country and product, Hyundai Motor's investment is expected to benefit South Korea overall. If Korean firms face the same tariffs as their global competitors, there would ultimately be no competitive disadvantage.
And on top of that, how are the authorities responding?
Right, so with tariff developments continuously unfolding, the government has been actively working to mitigate their impact on South Korean industries. In response to the auto tariff announcement, Industry Minister An Deok-gun held an emergency meeting on Thursday where he said that the government will prepare a plan for the auto industry that will be unveiled sometime in April. And it comes amid Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy's visit to Korea, where he urged Korean investment in Alaska's $44 billion LNG project, a move seen as a way to narrow the U.S. trade deficit with South Korea. But a major variable in the government response is the result of the ongoing impeachment trial. Let's take a listen.
If upheld, the impeachment will bring new leadership and a clearer political stance. If dismissed, the current government, with 3 years of experience, will continue. Either way, a swift trial decision is crucial to reducing trade uncertainty.
All right, Sujin, thank you for the report.
Thank you for having me.
The trade ministers of South Korea, China, and Japan will convene in Seoul for their first trilateral talks in over 5 years. Set for Sunday, the meeting will focus on key economic issues, including negotiations for a trilateral free trade agreement, the expansion of the regional comprehensive economic partnership, and efforts to stabilize supply chains. Attention is also on how they will navigate discussions amid growing protectionist trade policies. A series of bilateral meetings are also planned alongside the trilateral talks. In other news, South Korea believes North Korea has been reliant on Russia for strategic support and may seek China for economic stability this year. Our Unification Ministry correspondent Kim Jong-sil explains.
South Korea's latest intelligence points to a North Korea in transition, militarily assertive abroad, yet economically fragile and socially strained at home. According to the Ministry of Unification on Thursday, North Korea appears to be emerging from its pandemic-era slump, but signs of recovery remain limited. Experts say progress in the 20 by 10 campaign to build a new factory each year in 20 provinces has been largely symbolic, with many of the new factories sitting idle. And for ordinary residents, daily hardship is deepening. Food prices are rising, the currency is weakening, and Chinese imports continue to decline. To sustain construction drives, Pyongyang is mobilizing housewives and soldiers. Former soldiers who defected say some troops worked on as little as 4 hours of sleep, with compensation for their deaths as low as $70. Officials in Seoul say economic pressure could be accelerating Pyongyang's diplomatic pivot, starting with Russia. Since August 2023, Kim Jong-un has referred to Russian President Vladimir Putin as a comrade, a title previously reserved for 4 socialist allies: China, Vietnam, Laos, and Cuba.
In socialist countries, the term comrade is typically used to convey not just familiarity, but also a deeper emotional and ideological bond. It can be seen as an indirect way of signaling a relationship as close as a blood alliance.
That symbolic shift reflects Pyongyang's deepening alignment with Moscow, while ties with Beijing remain far more cautious. Though tourism resumed and Chinese media returned to Pyongyang this year, North Korea has held nearly 6 times more high-level exchanges with Russia than with China since mid-2023. Analysts say the regime is hedging its options, leaning on Moscow for strategic support while carefully looking to Beijing to stabilize its economy. This year also marks key anniversaries for North Korea, China, and Russia. Analysts say how these regimes coordinate upcoming events could reveal the future direction of their trilateral ties. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Amid renewed instability in the Middle East, Israel's leader now warns of seizing territory in Gaza, while hundreds of Palestinians were out on the streets against Hamas, calling for the end of the war. Yeongyang-gun covers the latest development.
Israel has pledged to increase military pressure until Hamas releases the remaining 59 hostages. In a parliamentary address on Wednesday local time, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel may seize parts of Gaza as part of its military pressure campaign.
The fighting in Gaza continues. The more Hamas persists in its refusal to release our hostages, the more powerful pressure we will exert. And I say to Hamas, this includes seizing territory, and this includes other things that I will not list here.
Israel resumed military operations in Gaza last Tuesday. According to the spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General, 142,000 people were displaced in just 1 week. At the daily UN press briefing on Wednesday, the spokesperson said that Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs warned that everything in Gaza was running out: supplies, time, and life. Meanwhile, in Gaza, hundreds of Palestinians gathered in the streets of Beit Lahia in the largest anti-Hamas protests since the beginning of the war. For 2 days straight since Tuesday, protesters took to the streets to demand an end to the war and showed defiance against Hamas's governance, chanting "Out, out, Hamas, out," and "We want to live."
We want to live in peace. We are tired. I raised my son for 15 years only for him to be gone now. I built my house for 10 years, and then what? Gone? We want to live.
Hamas official Bassem Naim said on social media that people have the right to cry out in pain, but suggested the anger should be directed toward Israel. Pyongyang, Arirang News.
K-pop girl group Aespa have released an English version of their hit song Whiplash. Their agency, SM Entertainment, said the song was released at 1 p.m. Thursday. The original million-seller dance song, released in October, has strong bass sounds mixed with house beats. The new single also includes a remix version from DJ Steve Aoki. Aespa will show off their first English performance at the Billboard Women in Music 2025 Awards in LA on March 29th. Seoul is hosting an exhibition aimed at giving you a glimpse of the latest in the leisure and sports industry. Choi Soo-hyung reports.
People exercise without getting bored by playing games. A smartwatch-style wearable device with an optical sensor helps maximize the effectiveness of workouts. Under a new era of smart fitness, the Seoul International Sports and Leisure Industry Show 2025 opened on Thursday at COEX in Seoul. Marking its 25th year, this year's event features around 320 Korean and international companies showcasing various products and technologies in fitness, sportswear, extreme sports, and the future of the sports industry. This year, the focus is sport tech, combining sports with smart devices.
In the sports industry, Korea's advanced technology is emerging in the sport tech sector. Overseas buyers are increasingly seeking tech-integrated products. The ability to analyze body types and suggest personalized exercise plans using AI is gaining attention.
By using robots, people can strengthen specific parts of their body, such as their core muscles. In addition to muscle strengthening exercises, advanced devices are also available to help improve body balance and maintain a well-proportioned shape. Artificial intelligence screens and equipment also provide personalized workout services.
Some people suffer from pain while others aim to lose weight. Each person has different goals and motivations. Unlike traditional approaches applied to a single concept, we use AI models to analyze individual needs and provide personalized solutions.
One of the hosts of the event, the Korea International Trade Association, set up an export booth to help Korean companies expand overseas.
The South Korean sports technology industry has grown over the past few decades and is now gaining significant attention worldwide.
Especially in Southeast Asia, foreign companies say Korean culture is familiar and its sports and leisure products are trendy and creative.
Korean brands have been, very prominent in the past years. We have a lot of them around in Manila. So that's why we're looking to the Korean brands, right? Because they are very trendy, right? They are innovative.
SportX 2025 will run until Sunday, March 30th. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
Rain fell all over the country today, which is something we have been waiting for. But in Gyeongsang-do provinces, where severe wildfires have been burning, less than 5 millimeters of rain fell. It was not enough to put out the fires. With only a small amount of rain, dry weather warnings and advisories remain in many areas. Cold air will rush from the northwest from tonight, cooling down the temperatures across the country. The temperatures will drop tomorrow, with Seoul plunging to 3 degrees Celsius in the morning, which will be about 10 degrees lower than today. Daytime temperatures will drop sharply to single digits this weekend. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Chuncheon, and Gyeongju will start off at 3 degrees, Daegu and Jeju at 8 degrees. Daytime temperatures will move up to 11 degrees in Gwangju, 14 degrees in Daegu. Chilly conditions are expected, with Seoul plunging to 0 to 1 degree in the morning. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
that is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.